Hi and welcome to this YouTube video. So in this video, I will teach you how to integrate the PayPal payment gateway into your Django project so that customers will be able to buy and purchase things on, for example, your website using PayPal. So right here, I have a basic, I would say like an e-commerce website where people sell stuff. And if I click this white sneakers, for example, I have a checkout page that just shows the details of the product. The image of the product, the name, the price, the description, and the purchase button. So something very, very basic. And if I come to my code right now, I have just 3 views. The checkout view, the payment successful view, and the payment failed view. So I'm sure you already have the checkout view created. I want you to go ahead and create the payment successful view and the payment failed view. Now we are going to need these views in the future, and you are going to see why we need them. Now I also want you to create URLs for each of these views. So I had already gone ahead earlier and I had created these views and I mapped them to a URL. So right now I have my checkout view, my payment successful view, and my payment failed view. And if I also show you my models, it's just very basic. Product name, product description, price, and image. So that is where these items are coming from. I had created some products earlier in the admin dashboard. So if you would like to get all the code to this video, there will be a link in the description to take you to where you can get the code to this video, and it's going to take you to a GitHub repository. So right now, what we need to do is, first of all, install a library in our virtual environment or in our working environment. The library that we need to install is called Django PayPal. So run the command, run the command pip install Django PayPal. Now I already have it installed, so it's going to show me requirements already. But for you, it's going to install the library for you. So let's go ahead and run our server right now. So after installing that library, I want you to head over to your settings.py file in your project folder, and we need to add this library to our installed apps. So what we need to type in our installed app is paypal.standard.ipn. So we're just letting Django know that we have this library installed. Now the next step that we need to do is, if we look at the settings.py file, if you look at yours, you will probably see something telling you that you have 8 unapplied migrations. So for that, just run python manage.py migrate. Now the reason why it says your model in apps IPN have not okay. So the reason why it's not showing for me is because I had already done this process before in this same virtual environment. But for you, just make sure you run migrate, and it should make all those changes and save to your database. Now, after adding it to your settings.py file, the next thing that you need to do is add this particular library URL to your urls.py file inside your projects folder. Now you can also put it in a URL file in your other apps, but I just prefer putting it in my projects folder. So first, I want you to import include from django.urls. Now the next step that we need to take is that we just need to say path, and I'm going to leave this empty. And I want you to say comma, type include, and inside this parentheses, just type paypal.standard.ipn.urls. Just put a comma and save it. So just make sure that your server is still running. Okay, our server is running. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to add specify some things now settings.py file. So I want you to scroll to the bottom, and now we need to specify two things. The first thing that we need to specify is the PayPal receiver email. So what that means basically is, where is this money that the customer is paying going to be? That is, where is the cash paid? Where is the cash getting paid to, and who is receiving this money? So this is what the PayPal receiver email means. So anytime a customer pays some certain money on the platform, that money is going to be sent to a user who has this email as their PayPal ID or their PayPal account email. So what we now actually need to do is create a sandbox account, and I'm going to explain what that is. But for now, the next field that we need to specify is PayPal underscore test, and we need to set that to true. This just means that we are currently working with this library in development, and if when you would like to deploy your project or website, make sure to turn this to false. So right now we need to create two PayPal accounts, or two PayPal sandbox accounts. Now a sandbox PayPal account is just basically it's not really a real account. It's not a real account. It's just an account that you can use to test your PayPal payments gateway integration in your project. So I'm going to explain why we need to create two accounts. So the first account that you need to create is the merchant account. So just head over to sandbox.paypal.com. Now, the reason why we need to create this merchant account is that it's going to be the receiver account. So, okay, I will need to log out first. Currently logging into merchant account. Let me log out, and I will show you how it looks like. So right now, once you click sign up, it's going to ask you whether you want to create a personal account or a business account. So the first account that you should create is a business account. So once you create that account, you can use it as the merchant account or the receiver. So once you create it, whatever email you use, you need to put it in here. Now, because I already have a sandbox account, I am using the email of that sandbox account. That is why I put it here. So it's going to serve as the receiver, that is the merchant account. It's going to serve as the receiver account. Now, the next account that you need to create is called the personal account. Now, I would like to do that in a separate browser so that it doesn't clash with the business account in the same web browser. I'm going to do that in Safari. Now, what you just need to do is create another account. So you go to sign up, and you are going to create a personal account, and you fill out the details. So after creating that personal account, we can then proceed to next step. Now, I want you to again remember that whatever email you put in should be the email of the merchant account. That is the first account that you created. So after doing all that, the next step that we need to take is we need to work with the checkout view. So head back to your views.py file, wherever your checkout view is. Checkout view is inside an app I created called Payment App. So right here inside this checkout view, the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a variable and call it host. And we need to equate that to request.get_host. Now, what exactly does get_host mean? Now, what it means simply is that we are trying to get the domain that this website that we have is currently hosted on. So let's say I had a website, and the website wanted to use this PayPal payments gateway. And let's say the website is hosted on test.com. So what request.getHost does is that it just goes and gets whatever domain is hosted on. So even if the current URL is like /payments/ some item ID, it's simply only going to get test.com. So that is what getHost does. It gets the domain that the current website is hosted on. Now, the next step that we need to take is we need to make some imports at the top of our views file. So the first thing that we need to import is called the PayPal payments from form. So say from PayPal.standard.forms import PayPal payments from IMRT import PayPal payments form. So the next thing that we need to import is settings from Django on import setting. And the last two things that we need to import, we're going to say import UUID. Now I'm going to explain why we're importing all these things. And the last thing is from Django URLs import reverse. So right now, after making all these imports, the next step that we need to do is we need to create a dictionary. Now this dictionary is going to house all the items and all the details that we need to pass into this PayPal payments form. Now we can actually look into this PayPal payments form. Now once we look into it, we can see this is the class and it inherits from forms.forms. And it has a bunch of fields that it requires in order to create this checkout. So we are going to be creating those items that are required. We're going to be passing them into the dictionary that we're going to create now. I'm going to call it PayPal checkout. Now we equate this to dictionary. Now the first item that we need to specify inside the dictionary is called business. Now this business simply means which account or which merchant account is receiving this payment. So we need to specify the receiver account here, and that is why we specified it in the settings.py file as PayPal receiver email. So what I can simply now do here is say settings dot PayPal receiver email. So it's going to go to my settings and grab this email, and it's going to set that value as the business, that is whoever is receiving this email or whichever account, whoever is receiving this payment or whichever account is receiving this payment. Now the next thing we need to specify is amount, which simply means the price that is being charged for this particular payment. Now since all this data is going to be coming dynamically from my model, if I open my model, we have it here. It's just the name, description, price, and image. Since all this is going to be coming dynamically because users can select whichever one they want, price is already displayed. What I can do is I can dynamically pass in the price here. And I'll just simply say product.price. The next item that we need to specify is item name, item_name. And I'll just equate that to product name. So you can equate this to whatever name of the product the person is trying to pay for, the customer is trying to pay for. So the next thing that we need to specify is invoice. Now I want you to take note that this invoice has to be a unique character or a unique ID, because every transaction needs like a tracking number or a unique ID that can be used to track it. So that is why I imported UUID. So what I can simply just say here is UUID4. Now this is going to generate a random unique it's going to generate random unique characters for us that can serve as the ID. So the next item that we need to specify is currency code. So you can specify this and you can use any currency you want. For me, I'm going to use USD. So if you were like, for example, from Nigeria, you would use NGN, but I want to use USD. So you can use whatever you want. Then the next item we need to specify is called notify URL. So just follow exactly what I am typing, and I will explain why we are doing this. So I will say https / host on reverse inside parentheses, pass in PayPal IP. So what this simply means is that anytime a user or a customer clicks like the purchase button, we want to send all this data that is being filled right now in this particular dictionary. We would like to send this to the PayPal-IPN endpoint. Now, this endpoint exists inside the PayPal library that we had installed earlier. So it just handles the processing for us on the back end. Funny because we're on the back end, but it handles some of the processing behind the scenes for us. So it's going to send this request, the payments request, to PayPal-IPN. Now, the next thing that we need to specify is the return URL. Now, the return URL simply specifies where we want customer or the user to be redirected to after a successful payment has been made. I'm just going to say HTTP. Just follow what I am doing right now. HTTP:// in here I'll pass in reverse, and in parentheses, since I had created a success payment view earlier, and the URL that I assigned to it is called payments-success. I'm just going to copy that, and in my views I will pass that in. Now I want you to take note of something, that this URL requires a parameter called product ID. Now that parameter is required because I need to grab I need to make a query to get that particular product using the ID and display the details of that product in the front end of the payment successful page. So in order to pass that ID in dynamically, what I simply need to do is pass in keyword arguments right here into this class. I'm going to say keyword args, and I will equate that to a dictionary. Now say products_ID, and I will equate that to product.id. So I need to do the exact same thing again, but this time we need to create item for a URL. Sorry, we need to create an item and call it cancel URL. So a user will be redirected to this URL if the payment doesn't go well or if an error occurs during the transaction. So since I call that URL payment-failed, I'm just going to come to my and I'll change this to payment failed. So those are all the items that we need to specify inside this dictionary. The next step we now need to take is we need to take all these items and pass it into this PayPal payment. So I'm just going to create a new variable and call it PayPal payment, and I will equate that to PayPal payment form. And in here we need to pass in initial equals PayPal checkout, because we are trying to call, if you're familiar with Django forms, we are trying to call this form and we are trying to set the default values of this, or the default input values of this form to this particular dictionary. So it's going to take all this data and automatically fill out all the forms or all the fields in this form using all the items that we provided here inside the dictionary. So what we now need to do is we need to return this form to the front end. So I will create a new context item in the dictionary and I will call it PayPal. And I will simply equate that to PayPal payment. So all we simply need to do is make sure it is being returned as a context front end. So now that we know that this form is being returned to front end, I will just go to that HTML file. And you can see that this is the checkout page. And if I come to the front end, the web browser, you can see this is how it looks like. So I would like to render out that particular form that we are returning from use.py file. So what I need to say here is I'm just going to comment this button out, and I will render out that form, and I'll say PayPal.render. Now the reason why I am saying .render is because if I come to the views and I open this form, you can see that the instruction says that we need to say call .render in the front end or in the HTML file in order to render out a button. Now, what it actually does is that it returns back a form. This .render returns back a form. And if I come to the web browser to refresh page, you'll notice that we are going to have, let me refresh again. Okay, the button is not being displayed. Let me make sure, okay, I didn't spell PayPal well. Let me refresh again. And you can see that a button is now being displayed when we call .render in the front end. So you can see that it doesn't really look nice, right? If you would like to change it, there are actually two ways to change it. The first way is to manually go into this form, which is from this PayPal payments form. So manually go into it, and then you scroll down, and then where you see this render function, this is the function that we call anytime. This is the function that we are calling when we say .render in the front. So you will notice that there is a bit of HTML here and here. So if you like to change the appearance of that button, what you can simply do is you can directly type in some HTML and CSS right between these three quotes, and it will properly render out in the front end. Now that is one way to do it. Another way to do it is to go to your settings.py file, and you can actually change image. That is, you can change this image to be whatever you want. So for example, if I wanted to change this to a different image, I'm just going to uncomment this, and make sure you just create a variable called PayPal buy button and make sure it's in uppercase. Now you equate this to a link to whatever image you want. Now if I save this, make sure my server is running, and I come to the front end, if I refresh the page right now and I scroll down, you can see that the image has been changed to what I had set. So those are like kind of like the two ways that you can change the image. But I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm just going to leave it as the default one. So when I come back and then refresh the page, you can see it has been changed. So right now, we've written all the code that we need to write for this payments gateway to actually get integrated properly into our code. So what we now need to do is log into those two accounts that we had created earlier. So I'm going to head over to my Chrome browser, and I will log into the sandbox account for the merchant. I'm just going to log into that, excuse me. That is the receiver account. Now once you log into it, just head over to activity and go to all transactions. So you should be brought to this page. Now notice that there are no transactions being displayed, but immediately we make a purchase for this item, you'll notice that a new payment log is going to get displayed here. So on the browser where you are making that payment, I want you to also log into your sandbox account, sandbox.paypal.com. So this second account that we are logging into is actually the customer account. So let's select whatever accounts that we want, and I'm going to log in. Now the next thing that you need to do is, right now I have like a bunch of cards. Now you might not actually have cards assigned to you. So what you need to do is link a card. Now you don't actually have to link a real card. There are test cards that you can use, that you can link to your sandbox account. if you would like to link a test card, there's going to be a link in the description where you can come to this page. I'm going to leave the link in the description. So you can see it's just test generated cards. So you can copy these card details and just paste them here, and you can add the card as easy as that. Very straightforward. It's not difficult. So let's head back to the web browser where we can where we need to check out. And once I click checkout, that is the button for checkout right now, you will notice that we are being redirected to the PayPal page. Now notice that the price here is 150 USD. Now the reason why we're able to see 150 USD is because this bag is the price that we specified for this bag is 150. Now to show you that it changes dynamically, you can select this white sneaker. Now notice that the price is 200. If I click the button for buy now, and it takes me to my PayPal checkout, you'll notice that the price that it is showing is 200 USD. Now the reason that or the reason why those are being displayed dynamically is because we are passing in those values here dynamically. So the product's price, the currency code which we set to be USD. That is why it's working like this for us. So you can now select whatever card you added. If you hadn't linked a card earlier, you can just click add debit or credit card. Once I select a card and click complete purchase, you'll see that it says you paid 200 USD. So we can see that the payment went through successfully. So this is a receipt number, and it just says we'll send confirmation email. So once you click return to merchant, you'll notice that we are being returned to the success URL. It says payment successful for product white sneakers. And if you scroll down, we can just see the details of white sneakers. Now, in order to prove that the payment actually worked successfully, remember that this is a merchant account. And if I refresh right now, we should see a log for that new payment that was just made. And what do you know? We have the new payments that we just made for $200. It was made from Pablo Tutti at the test account. And you can see this is the money that merchant made from this transaction, 189, because PayPal took their cuts from it. So that is basically all we need to do. We can test again to buy a different product. I will just go to home page. Let's say, for example, I want to buy this brown leather watch. Let's purchase this. I'm going to select a different card. So let me just select like the second one. I'm going to hit complete purchase. Then it should take me to this page saying payment was successful. I'm going to click return to merchant, and it says payment successful. So I brought back to the success page. And if I go back to the merchant account and refresh, I should see another log right here. I can see that another payment was made from the customer account. So in order to see the changes also from the customer account, let's see if I can actually see the logs for customer activity. Yes, so you can see that we also get deductions from the customer account. Remember that we had just made a purchase for this brown leather watch and the price was 370. So if I check the sandbox account for the customer account, it says minus 370 and then minus 200 for the one we had made earlier. So you can see it says test store, and you can see like the description. This is the seller info. This is the invoice which was dynamically the invoice ID which was dynamically generated from this UUID or UUID4 right here. So right now we can see, we can also see the price, the name called white sneakers. We can see the price. And you know the white sneakers came dynamically from this item name right here. So right now, we can see that the code is working perfectly well, and we've been able to integrate PayPal into our Django project. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave a question in the comment section. And if you want to view this code, you can get a link that will take you to the GitHub where you can view this code. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.